guys. It has been a while since we have had any type of movement or motion in the Jonathan Majors case, but we were looking for an update around the 16th because that's when he was previously granted an extension for time. So I'm going to address the elephant in the room first. Back to the criminal side of things, what's going on with the appeal? Well, because of the timing of when the motions finished out, when sentencing took place, the calendar in the first district where his appeal would take place, they go on their summer recess. So if you're wondering why hasn't there been any motion with the appeal, it's not because he hasn't filed for an appeal. It's just that the timing of it, his deadline is kicking him out to here, this time frame. So he could have filed on July 8th, and until we see an update, a posting from this court, we won't really know. But what we're going to talk about today is the civil side. So back on March 19th, Grace Jabbari, his ex-girlfriend, had filed a civil complaint against Jonathan Majors. This is in the Southern District Court of New York, and they had to do some corrections, but pretty much it was filed on the 20th of March. And then we saw a motion for an extension of time to answer on May 8th. And that's worth flipping over to. So this letter was actually submitted by the law firm representing Grace Jabbari. And they had said back then, undersigned, us, has communicated with current counsel for Jonathan Majors, Priya Chaudhry. She has agreed to waive service of summons, so we're accepting this complaint. We're agreeing that we've been served without you having to send someone to serve us. And we both stipulate, we agree that Mr. Majors can have until July 16th, 2024 to file and serve a response. We had heard through, I believe it was someone from TMZ had stopped and seen Jonathan Majors, and verbally they asked him, oh, what about that lawsuit? And he had responded, we knew it was coming. And it's been said that he planned not only to respond, but also countersue. So that's kind of where we were left, the information available to us in May. Now, with the deadline for this response, if we go back over to the docket, the timeline here, you can see that there's a new notice of appearance. So it looks like we have new counsel representing Jonathan Majors. We're going to take a look at him. Another extension of time, which was granted. And then we're also going to have some information scheduling for a pretrial. So with that being said, we're going to look at the documents. We're going to look at what they say, but you are going to hear some speculation from me as we move forward and different thoughts, different hypotheses on what could be going on. That doesn't mean that that's actually what's happening. So in the meantime, you guys, it's so great to see some familiar faces. I know you've been waiting for an update. No problem. Good to see Ghost, Dolly, and Stuff, Drea, and Felicia. And then here is the notice of appearance for the new attorney. Now, there was no appearance filed by Priya Chaudhry. It was just said in that letter submitted by Grace Jabbari's team, hey, we've agreed with his current counsel, because she was counsel in the criminal action, to let this time be extended here. So right now, the only attorney of record on this case for Jonathan Majors is now Rory Griebel. And I've got some reasons that could be good and bad why I think this is. And then here you can see the letter that he had filed asking for an extension of time. We can get some specifics from this. He's saying that we found out about this last minute. So please be advised that my firm was retained by Jonathan Majors late this evening. This was filed today. Well, this was granted today, but filed yesterday when it was due. So this new attorney comes in, writes to the judge and says, please, 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 we were retained late this evening. We are aware that an extension of 60 days was previously afforded to defendant by this court. The deadline to answer or otherwise move to dismiss is today, July 16th, 2024. We have been made aware that earlier today, prior to my firm being engaged, an additional extension of 7 days was afforded by plaintiff to defendant to either answer or move to dismiss plaintiff's complaint. Defendant, while recognizing that 7-day extension, which would be through July 23rd, respectfully requests an extension of 30 days, through and including August 15th, 2024, to answer or move to dismiss the complaint. The reason for additional time is so that this office, who just came on board this evening, can get up to speed with the matter. That way, the defendant's rights are not otherwise prejudiced. So given the late hour, defendant was not able to confer with plaintiff counsel regarding the request for additional time, However, an email was sent over to them earlier tonight. Defendant and this office further apologized to the court for not filing this letter sooner, but unfortunately, the situation couldn't be avoided. So, we get signed off here by Rory Griebel. Now, Rory Griebel is an experienced litigator. This doesn't really focus on experience as a trial attorney. Rory is an experienced commercial litigator who represents clients in state and federal courts and in a variety of alternative dispute resolution forums. So I don't think I need to say it. What do you think this could mean? What do you think this could mean? He brings on a litigator who's experienced in alternative dispute resolutions. His clients include accounting firms, business managers, closely held corporations, real estate development firms, construction companies, and municipalities. Rory is experienced in handling contractual disputes between businesses, restrictive covenant matters, multi-million-dollar real estate litigation, accountants litigation. Guys, these are all things that don't go to trial. And responding and investigatory matters when responding to civil and criminal subpoenas on both the state and federal level. So, yeah. Clients turn to Rory to handle cases from inception through trial, knowing that he is a pragmatic, aggressive, and responsive to their legal needs at every phase of a case. So, yeah, what are you guys thinking out here? What are you guys thinking? So we do have an I have no idea from It's Summer. He better not freaking settle. A plea would be, I guess, a settlement would be kind of the same thing. We're speaking on the civil side, but, you know, if it was criminal, a plea could be comparable. Andrea, he doesn't want another trial. OMG, he wants to settle, making a deal. And Kiana says he should offer her $2. So it seems like this guy is experienced in settling things, resolving things before it has to go to trial. Because once you're going to trial, all the dirty laundry's aired out. All of it. And in a civil trial, there could be a lot more things that could come in that might not go to what he was actually charged for in the criminal trial. Plus, how long has this gone on, guys? We are, this all happened on March 25th, 2023. He had to wait until December of last year for his trial. It could just be he doesn't want to wait this calendar out. On the flip side, because he's got, let me see if I still have this calendar up. If he is appealing, he's got this annoying calendar block where if he had submitted, like the last date to file that you wanted, a notice that you wanted to appeal, would have been March 18th. He was outside that window based on the timeline of the criminal trial. He would have been in this timeline. So if he's choosing to appeal, he's got all this mess going on the other side. Now, an alternative theory to this new counsel being appointed is that if Priya Chaudhry is representing him through appeal, maybe they've had a conversation saying, look, one of the points we want to argue is ineffective assistance of counsel. If we want to argue ineffective assistance of counsel, it might look weird if we're also representing you in a new matter that you've added on since that point in time. How good can an argument about ineffective assistance of counsel be if you choose that same attorney for a new action further down the timeline? So that could be one thing. I have some theories. If I see Pam Entertainment TV hop in the chat, I would love to drop a link so she could come up. And you guys are saying down to 50 cents, 1 pence per month. Yeah, and It's Summer. Let's not forget that victim impact statement. She said she will not rest. So what would that mean if someone that says, I will not rest until he can no longer do this? What would that mean if she settles? Because that seems like resting. And not resting because you've ensured that things won't ever happen again, but resting because something else came into the picture. Not a Temu gift card. Timu. Yeah, so that could be it too, right? So Priya, criminal side on the appeal, and then this guy's coming in for civil. So Erica Dixon, what's up? I'm sure you'll have some thoughts here. So to catch Erica up to speed, We do have another extension of time. The plaintiff and defense both stipulated to July 23rd because Jonathan Majors retained new counsel late yesterday evening when when the response was due. And the judge granted an extension. Very interesting how the court does this. They just stamp it at the top of the request. So this was a separate submission, a separate filing, but it has this extra box saying that it was granted. And now the defense will have until August 15th to respond. So there's that. With that being added to the timeline, we also have a status or a pretrial hearing set for September 5th. This is kind of where they'll go in and say, hey, do we still need to move forward? Did you guys work something out in the meantime? All right, and if we're moving forward, here's some dates, here's some things we got to set in stone and get this thing moving. So we're looking at August 15th, and then we're also looking at September 5th to see if things are going to move forward. So what are you guys thinking? What are you guys thinking? And yes, this is about the civil case. And Solo Dove, she will rest for paying her taxes. She's still looking for, what was it, 20,000 pounds she had asked him for in February, like a month before everything happened. And then Unapologetic Simmer says, if it's anyone else, he settled to make it go away, but this is Jonathan, so if he settles, it's because it's guilty, and I don't want that for him. You know, and I see that a lot. I think every time that there's a settlement somewhere, there's always people on both sides that say a settlement is definitively X or definitively Y. But there could be a lot of reasons for a settlement. You know, it's convenient. It can end the stress. I'm the type of person that if I knew I had a court date, something coming up on August 15th, and then on September 5th, that's going to be half of my mental capacity, my mental load. Even if I have an attorney handling things, I'm still the type of person that's just going to have that bearing down on my mental capacity. I'm not going to be able to do other things at 100% if I've got that type of date looming over my head. I'm going to be too focused on my calendar. At least once a day I'm going to think about it, and it's going to disrupt my motivation to do other things. So settling could just be getting that out of your life, putting it behind you. Oh, and thank you for hitting the like button and remembering. But yeah, I get what you're saying, though, that people really see a settlement and they think it means guilt or they think it means innocence. I think a great example where people were right on the money, personally, was when Diddy and Cassie, they came to an agreement for that $30 million settlement. It happened really quickly. I think we're all validated now by saying that settlement was because he did not want anything coming out after we saw that video of the elevator footage come out. So, but not all settlements mean I'm agreeing to the things that were said. The other thing, too, is there could be stipulations in a settlement that you might not get out of a jury trial. So maybe Jonathan Majors could say, look, let's settle this out. Maybe she has financial incentives and I can put that on the table. And in return, no more disparagement. You can't talk about me. You can't disparage me. And if you agree to this term, then I agree to the terms that you want. And that could be good for him too. Because not for nothing, I've pulled up her Instagram here and there, and she's not really saying certain things directly, but she's reposting things that talk about misogyny and gender violence and believing victims in a way sometimes where it seems like she's co-opting the experience of somebody else. So she's not directly stating things on her own socials, but she's pretty much co-signing and endorsing and kind of co-opting someone else's experience to signal out a message. Maybe a term of settlement to get her to stop doing stuff like that would be good enough for Jonathan Majors. So Drea thinks he may just want to put this behind him. Trying to move on with his life and settling might just be a way to leave the baggage behind. The breakup fee. Yeah, and I would say that too, like putting herself through it all over again. I mean, especially, I don't know if she's still coming back to New York, but it could be more convenient for someone to settle something, even if they want to speak their piece in court. If it means they don't need to fly and travel and You know, the way New York courts go, because this is in New York, the civil suit is filed in New York. If there's some delay, it could be a month later before the next thing happens. So imagine you have to fly to be in person for something. Luckily, this pretrial conference is they're going to do it over the phone. It's going to be virtual. Um, but yeah, like the sheer traveling, showing up, dealing with the press, whether I'm not really sure personally if I think she dislikes the press. I think she actually likes the press. But if she doesn't, she could just say, I don't want any part of that. I'd rather settle to avoid that part, even though I would like to be able to go to this trial and speak more. I'm going to choose to stay out of the spotlight in lieu. I'm going to weigh my options. And then, yeah, she doesn't care about going through this again. And honestly, the longer this times out, this could all be strategic too, right? Hiring someone at the last minute. It could be strategy to get this additional extension. Maybe to catch up with this appeal timeline if they're planning to appeal. Maybe they don't want the appeal and the civil case, they want it to happen in an opposite order. And they're trying to buy the time. Or alternatively, maybe that last minute change was something happened. Jonathan Majors called a last minute audible. Won't really know on that until we see if Priya Chaudhry is representing him elsewhere. But and then yeah, so I just saw also it's summer. So Alvin Bragg has other issues like Trump. And yeah, so with an appeal, it's not certain that Alvin Bragg will have any involvement in that. Any appeal decision he might make a press statement about. But if there ends up being a decision that says no retrial, I mean, it wouldn't come back down to his trial court. And then Unapologetic Simmer is thinking the same as Drea, especially as he's finally getting positive press, and I fear the settlement will ruin things, but I could be wrong. And I think he was just in an interview yesterday saying he was ready. It was kind of like jovial, right? It was TMZ. They saw him and they asked if he was thinking about putting a ring on Megan Good's finger. And he said, yeah. So, that could be another reason too. You just want it done. You want it out. And if they're going to continue having a committed relationship, a serious relationship where they're showing up at these events together, if this trial revives, if these claims from Grace Jabbari are given added energy, new spotlight, because the civil trial goes forward, that could be damaging to your celebrity partner who's going to be associated with any headlines relating to that civil case. So, lots of things to consider here. Green eggs, no ham. Good to see you. I'm not sure. I think you're new to Jonathan Majors stuff. You guys, if you've only found this channel recently, there is a playlist linked in the description where we go through the trial transcripts, we go through news about the trial, we go through every day of the trial, from opening to closing arguments, and some of the pretrial motions. If you guys want to catch up on what happened with this trial, really, really interesting. It wasn't televised. Really no transparency. But we ordered the transcripts and we looked at them, and what was happening in court was quite different from the headlines put out in the news. So really interesting stuff to deep dive into if you're looking for something new to binge on. And then yeah, way too soon, probably. Especially, she's dealing, she just got out of a divorce and is clearly still being asked about it, which I think she handled really well. Ayana Davis, good to see you. But yeah, that's what I've got, you guys. We've got new attorney Rory handling this matter. So, I don't know. I don't have any certainty. I don't really have any, bad outlook from reading any of this news. It's just more time. The timeline's extended. But yeah, I think let's catch up with the last few comments. Was it 3 years ago already? Listen, hold on. 3 years ago would put it in COVID territory, which is 1 year long for me. Like that whole time period from 2020, 2021, all the way through 2023. It was like 1 year in my head. 1 year. And yes, Erica, it's always good to see you. I still get to see you when I get to pop into Dre Max shows. I don't know anything about comics or movies, but because of the Jonathan Majors trial, I still go over and watch stuff from other people that were covering the trial, like Dre Mac, and I get to see Erica over there a lot. So always good to see you. And then Rosemary Carter, long time no see also, and no problem. Kiki, we are wrapping it up, but we are talking about an extension for time in the civil case that Grace Jabbari filed against Jonathan Majors. And we took a look at the appeal calendar for the criminal side of things and really just had some conversations, some thoughts. Nothing definitive except the next time we should hear something would be August 15th. On August 15th, we should see if there's a motion to dismiss. Maybe there will be an entry of an arbitration agreement or settlement. Maybe there will be a countersuit filed. August 15 looks like the next day to put on your calendar if you're interested in seeing what goes on next. I'll, of course, do a video. But yeah. Heck yeah, so Jeff Sanders coming from the Young Thug case. Now, this one was different on the criminal side. There's no cameras in the courtroom where Jonathan Majors was tried. No cameras. And no plea deal was offered to him. Not a lot of transparency. Very, very different in terms of the way, the accessibility of the two cases. So again, guys, there is a link all the way down in the description if you want to look at coverage of the Jonathan Majors trial, really from March 25th all the way through the criminal case and the initial speculation about his... I don't know if he's going to appeal, you guys. I want him to. But I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to. But we'll find that out in September. So, and then let's see. And then Tim K. So over at the YSL trial, guys, YSL trial, Judge Glanville had to recuse. It was automatically assigned to Shakura Ingram, and she recused herself today. And Tim is coming with the extra detail that the new judge that was appointed after Ingram recused herself, Whitaker, Judge Whitaker, she presided over a separate case that YSL, Kenneth Copeland, Lil Woody, he pled guilty. So she presided over a case involving really the star witness that's at the center of all this explosive commentary and happenings over in the YSL trial. So I do think that if that judge wants to recuse herself, I think she's got a reason to justify doing so. Who knows? We'll hear that tomorrow, maybe. It just seems like every day there's still something there. And then LTV or Irv Gotti? Hold on. I want to assume Irv Gotti. Oh, alleged assault in Miami. And it's a Jane Doe right now. Yeah, this just came out, what, 30 minutes ago? Drea's always on it. Is this gonna be, what was that group of girls called? The Angels? No, I'm getting, who knows what I'm getting? I'm getting like an ad blocker thing. Well, in any case, I'll have to catch up on this, but all the blogs are talking about it. Interesting. Someone that he'd met in 2020. If I can grab the filing, I might read through it. I'll go look on Unicourt and see if I can grab it. And we're seeing Dr. Keisha, reminiscent of the others. So yeah, you might see a separate video on this if I get the time. We can talk about that. I did just want to give you guys an update on the Jonathan Majors case because it's been so long since we've had a definitive update on anything that was happening. And we've gotten through everything that is definitive at this point in time. So I'm going to end this one here. Maybe take a look at this Irv Gotti filing. I'm not surprised to hear that, Dr. Keisha, that it's reminiscent of others. And then, yeah, 2-year relationship in quotes. Got essayed and then decided to date. And this is filed in Miami, right? Did this say Miami? Yeah, Miami-Dade County. So unless they ask for special protections, I mean, it's clearly filed by a Jane Doe right now. But if this were to move forward to trial, if he doesn't settle out, I mean, they'd have to request for there not to be cameras. And it's possible because of the nature of the claims, maybe a judge will agree to grant that. But Miami-Dade County is pretty transparent. There's a lot of sunlight in Miami-Dade. So that will be interesting. That will definitely be interesting. Let me get this document and think about another video on this, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in on the Jonathan Majors stuff. And again, I only have my own hypothesis on, or theories on why we have a new attorney stepping in. I don't have anything conclusive, and I'm not trying to start rumors or anything like that. I just thought it was interesting that he specializes in litigation and alternative dispute resolution. So I'm wondering if we will see, let's close this chapter. Let's prevent this from going to trial. Let's do whatever we got to do to make that happen. And let's all move on. Close that chapter completely. So you guys all take care. Thanks so much. And thank you, Drea and Ghost, both for being so helpful as mods. And the chat. Good to see you guys. Bye-bye.